My beloved sisters in Islam, let's talk about something real, something powerful, something many may feel but hesitate to speak about: a woman in love. You see, Islam doesn't deny the existence of love. Allah created the heart, He created affection, He created emotion. But with every blessing comes responsibility, and with every emotion comes guidance. When a woman falls in love, it's not a sin. But what she chooses to do with that love, that's where the test lies. Love is a gift, my dear sister. But it must be guarded. Not every emotion deserves expression, and not every affection deserves action. In Islam, we're not told to kill our emotions. We are told to discipline them, to channel them, to protect them. Why? Because Allah wants to save you from heartbreak, regret, and pain. Your heart is an amana, a trust from Allah. Don't just hand it over to anyone. Not every I love you is sincere. Not every smile means intention. And not every conversation ends in nikah. So guard your heart. Not because you're weak, but because you're wise. Not because you're old-fashioned, but because you understand that love without boundaries is like a flame without control. It can burn everything around it. In today's world, a woman is constantly told that she needs attention to be valuable, that unless a man desires her, she is incomplete. But Islam tells you, you are already complete. You are already honored. You are already enough. You don't need to beg for attention or compete to be noticed. Your worth is not measured by how many people want you, but by how firm you stand with Allah. Modesty is not oppression. It is power. It is dignity. Haya is not weakness. It's a shield. When a woman is in love, modesty doesn't stop her. It guides her. It tells her, protect this love. Don't let it lead you to sin. Don't let it blind you. If it's real, it will wait. If it's sincere, it will commit. If it's from Allah, it will come in the right way. But what about attachment? Many sisters fall so deeply in love that they lose themselves. They delay their prayers. They hide things from their parents. They stop feeling that peace they once felt in salah. Why? Because emotional attachment, when it is not grounded in Allah, becomes heavy, painful, risky. So never allow your emotions to overpower your deen. If He's pulling you away from Allah, then He's not leading you to your future. He's distracting you from your Jannah. My sister, listen carefully. If He truly loves you, He will make it halal. He will honor you. He will speak to your family. He will not ask you to compromise your values. True love is not afraid of commitment, and true love is never built on haram. The Prophet didn't tell us to suppress love. He taught us to sanctify it. He said there's nothing better for two who love one another than marriage. Because marriage brings responsibility. It brings barakah. It turns your feelings into a form of worship. Subhanallah. And what if he's not ready? What if there's no clarity? Then walk away with dignity. Don't stay trapped in uncertainty. Don't sacrifice your heart to someone who's not prepared to carry its weight. You are not someone's secret. You are not someone's maybe. You are a servant of Allah, and your love deserves protection, purpose, and peace. Love through the eyes of the akhirah. Ask yourself, will this love bring me closer to Jannah or further away? If not in this world, then in the next. So don't be afraid to love. But love wisely, love with faith, love with boundaries, and most importantly, love with Allah in your heart first. You are not just a woman in love. You are a woman of honor, a woman of strength, a woman of iman. And that, my sister, is the most beautiful kind of love story. Love is one of the most beautiful gifts that Allah has placed in the hearts of His creation. It is a powerful emotion, capable of lifting a person or leading them astray, depending on how it is handled. When a woman falls in love, it is not something shameful or forbidden in and of itself. Islam does not deny emotions. Allah is the creator of the heart and the feelings it holds. However, what Islam teaches us is how to channel this love in the correct way, so that it brings blessings and not regret, so that it leads to peace and not heartbreak. A woman in love is deeply emotional, often selfless, and may begin to see the world through the lens of that affection. But this is where Islam gives her tools to protect herself, her dignity, and most importantly, her relationship with Allah. Love is a gift, yes, but it must be guarded. A gift that is not protected can be misused or even destroyed. Islam tells us that the heart is not to be handed over to anyone without purpose, without protection, and without the bounds that Allah has set. This is not to cage love, but to preserve it, to make it real, valuable, and long-lasting. Too often, in the name of love, women give everything, their attention, their time, their emotions, even their identity, hoping to receive love in return. But when this love is outside of marriage, outside of commitment, outside of the boundaries of Islam, it becomes fragile. And when it breaks, it doesn't just hurt, it wounds the soul. The Prophet Muhammad taught us that when a man and a woman are alone together, Shaitan is the third. This is not to demonize interaction, but to remind us how easily emotions can lead us into actions that were never intended. A woman must know that her love is valuable. Her heart is not for experimentation. It is not for someone to play with while they figure things out. When a woman gives her heart too easily, too quickly, or to someone who does not intend marriage or righteousness, she is often left with regret. Islam elevates women by teaching them that love is not about desperation, but about dignity. Real love honors, it doesn't humiliate. Real love comes with responsibility, not just sweet words. In today's world, it's so easy to get carried away. Social media, movies, books, they all sell this idea of love as a wild, uncontrollable force. But Islam teaches the opposite. Love in Islam is grounded. It is deep, but it is responsible. Allah mentions in the Quran that among His signs is that He created for us spouses so that we may find tranquility in them, and He placed between us love and mercy. Love and mercy. These are not meant to exist in temporary relationships or secret affairs, but within the safety of nikah. A woman must ask herself, is the person I love bringing me closer to Allah or further away? Am I able to maintain my modesty, my salah, my connection with the Quran while loving this person? Or am I sacrificing parts of my faith to please someone who hasn't even committed to me Islamically? These are hard questions, but necessary ones. Because in Islam, love is not meant to destroy your peace. It is meant to be part of your journey to Jannah. Guard your love. Make dua for the one you love. Ask Allah to guide both of your hearts. If it's meant to be, Allah will open the doors in a halal and beautiful way. And if it's not meant to be, then trust that Allah is saving you from something that would have broken you even more. Sometimes what we see as love is simply a test. And sometimes letting go is the most loving thing you can do for your own soul. You are not less of a woman for loving someone, but you are more of a believer when you choose to love within the limits of Islam. Because when you love for the sake of Allah, He places barakah in that love. He protects it, He nurtures it, and if it leads to marriage, that love becomes an act of worship. So never feel ashamed of your emotions. Just learn to manage them in a way that pleases the one who created your heart in the first place. That is how you guard the gift of love. The heart is one of the greatest trusts that Allah has given us. It is not just a physical organ that keeps us alive, but in Islam it is the center of faith, emotions, and intentions. When a woman falls in love, it is her heart that is most involved. That love, those feelings, that attachment, they all stem from the heart. And this is why the heart must be treated as a trust, an amana, something we will be questioned about on the Day of Judgment. A woman must ask herself, am I giving my heart to someone in a way that pleases Allah, or am I risking my akhirah for a temporary feeling in this dunya? In the Quran, Allah repeatedly speaks about the heart. He says, "On that day, neither wealth nor children will benefit anyone, except the one who comes to Allah with a sound heart." Surah Ash-Shu'ara 26:88-89. When a woman allows herself to fall deeply in love without any commitment, without any Islamic guidance, and without a halal path, she risks her heart becoming stained by emotions that pull her away from Allah. Not because love itself is evil, but because misplaced love, love without boundaries, can distract her from what truly matters. A woman's heart is naturally soft. She is created with compassion, mercy, and a deep capacity to love. This is one of her greatest strengths. But it can also be one of her greatest vulnerabilities if not protected properly. In the name of love, a woman may forgive repeated red flags, ignore broken promises, and even tolerate sin, all because her heart is so attached. But Islam teaches us to love with wisdom. Our love should never make us blind to the truth or deaf to the commands of Allah. Love should be balanced, with the heart, but also with the mind and with faith. The Prophet Muhammad warned us that in the body there is a piece of flesh, and if it is sound, the whole body is sound, but if it is corrupt, the whole body is corrupt. That piece of flesh is the heart. So, when a woman loves someone, she must check her heart constantly. Is her love causing her to delay her salah? Is it making her hide her conversations, her interactions, from her parents or from the public eye? Is it making her more attached to a person than she is to her Creator? These are signs that the trust of the heart is being misused. A righteous woman protects her heart because she knows its value. She doesn't give it away to someone who hasn't proven himself worthy through marriage, through responsibility, through righteousness. She understands that feelings can be strong, but they are not always right. Not every emotion deserves action. Islam doesn't ask her to deny her feelings, but to direct them correctly. If she loves someone, she makes dua, she seeks counsel, she involves her family, she protects herself from secrecy, from temptation, from situations where shaitan can take advantage of her vulnerability. And what is most powerful is that when a woman places her love in the hands of Allah, He protects her heart better than any man ever could. When she says, Ya Allah, I love him but I want what you know is best for me, that is true strength. That is the trust of the heart being fulfilled. Sometimes the person she loves may not be meant for her, no matter how deeply she feels. But if she chooses Allah's plan over her own emotions, she will never lose, because Allah will replace her loss with something better, in this life or the next. A woman must also remember that the one who deserves her heart the most is the one who created it. Before anyone else, her love should be for Allah. When her heart is full of love for Allah, she won't chase after someone who treats her like an option. She won't beg for attention or compromise her values. She will know that her worth is not in how much someone else loves her, but in how close she is to her Lord. So guard your heart like a treasure, because that is what it is. Don't allow it to be taken lightly, played with, or broken over and over again by people who were never ready to carry that responsibility. Trust that Allah knows what is in your heart, and He will never waste the pain you endure for His sake. If you love truly, love purely, and love wisely, and most importantly love within the limits of Islam, your heart will not just survive, it will flourish. And in doing so, you will fulfill the amana that Allah has given you. Modesty is one of the most powerful qualities a woman can possess. In Islam, modesty, haya, is not just about the way one dresses, but about the way one carries herself, the way one speaks, the way one interacts, and the way one protects her dignity and her emotions. A woman in love might feel vulnerable, exposed, and deeply emotional, and it is in those moments that modesty becomes her shield, not her weakness. It protects her from being misled, from giving too much of herself to someone who has not earned it, and from stepping outside the boundaries that Allah has lovingly placed to preserve her honor. In today's society, modesty is often misunderstood. People might say that modesty limits freedom, that it hides a woman's personality, or that it's old-fashioned. But in Islam, modesty is not a form of suppression, it is a form of empowerment. When a woman is modest, she sets her own value. She sends a message to the world: I am not here to be consumed by anyone's gaze or attention. I have self-respect, and I choose to protect my worth. And when it comes to love, modesty becomes even more essential. Because love can make a woman open up emotionally, it can lower her defenses, and it can lead her to compromise without realizing it. A woman who loves modestly is a woman who loves wisely. She does not rush to pour out her heart to someone who hasn't committed to her through nikah. She does not engage in endless conversations behind closed doors or through secret messages. She knows that real love does not require her to expose herself emotionally and spiritually in private settings that Islam has forbidden. Her modesty keeps her love pure. It keeps her from becoming emotionally entangled in relationships that do not lead to anything halal. And if the love is genuine and the man is sincere, he will respect her boundaries, not try to break them. The Prophet Muhammad said, every religion has a characteristic, and the characteristic of Islam is modesty. This shows us that haya is not just a personal choice, it is a defining feature of a believer. When a woman loves with haya, she reflects the light of Islam in the most beautiful way. She doesn't need to display her emotions publicly or share her personal struggles with the world to prove she's in love. Her love is private, dignified, and guarded by her faith. That is not weakness. It is strength, it is wisdom, and it is beauty in its purest form. There are many women who, in the name of love, begin to let go of their modesty. They speak to men late into the night, they send pictures, they share personal details, and they become emotionally invested in people who have not honored them through marriage. Over time, they begin to feel empty even if the person is still around. Why? Because the heart knows when it has crossed a boundary. And modesty, once broken, is hard to regain. That's why Islam teaches us to never put ourselves in a position where our hearts can be led into sin through emotional exposure. A woman must understand that the more she protects her modesty, the more she protects her love. Modesty doesn't kill romance. It preserves it for the right time, the right person, and the right setting. Within marriage, modesty turns into beauty. The same feelings that are guarded outside of nikah become a source of joy and closeness within it. Islam never says don't love. It simply says love the right way. And the right way is always one that honors modesty. Real men are not attracted to what is flaunted, but to what is honored and hidden for the one who deserves it. A woman's modesty is like a locked treasure. It's not that she is hiding herself because she is ashamed. She is preserving herself because she knows she is valuable. And when she loves someone, she does so without losing her modesty, without becoming someone she is not. She knows that if Allah is pleased with the way she loves, that love will have barakah. It will grow, it will be protected, and it will bring her closer to Jannah. So, to every woman who is in love, don't let your feelings convince you to let go of your haya. Let your modesty guide your steps. If he truly loves you, he will come the right way. He will knock on the door of your family, not just the door of your phone. He will honor your boundaries because he values your soul, not just your smile. And if he doesn't, then let modesty be the reason you walk away with dignity. Because modesty is not weakness. It is your power, your shield, and your most beautiful strength. Emotional attachment is one of the strongest forces within the human heart, especially when it comes to love. When a woman falls in love, her emotions can become deeply tied to the person she loves, sometimes to the point where her thoughts, actions, and even her identity begin to revolve around that individual. In Islam, emotions are not forbidden, nor are they something to be ashamed of. They are natural. They are part of our test in this world. But when those emotions begin to cloud judgment and pull someone away from their deen, they become dangerous. That is why Islam teaches us to always prioritize our faith above our feelings. A woman may feel that her love is sincere, pure, and full of hope for the future. But if that attachment is leading her to neglect her prayers, disobey her parents, engage in haram conversations, or fall into private interactions that are not permitted, then something has gone wrong. Love should never take her away from Allah. In fact, true love should bring her closer to Him. If it doesn't, then no matter how beautiful it feels, it is not worth it. Emotional attachment, if not disciplined, becomes a form of slavery to the heart's desires. There are women who give everything to the man they love, time, energy, loyalty, trust, while slowly letting go of their own spiritual identity. They stop wearing the hijab out of fear of being judged or rejected. They miss prayers because they're too busy texting or waiting for a message. They begin hiding parts of their life from their families and feel a sense of guilt that doesn't go away. And still, they hold on tighter to that person, believing that love will fix everything. But Islam teaches us that no relationship built on disobedience to Allah will ever bring lasting peace. It may give temporary joy, but it will not last, and the cost is often too high. The Prophet Muhammad taught us that a person is upon the religion of their close companion, so be careful who you choose to attach your heart to. A woman should ask herself, is the one I'm emotionally attached to guiding me toward Allah or distracting me from Him? Does he encourage me to pray, to grow in knowledge, to stay connected with my faith? Or is he pulling me deeper into secrecy, into guilt, into spiritual numbness? Emotional love may feel sweet in the moment, but if it's pulling you away from the path of Allah, then it's a trap disguised as comfort. It is important to understand that emotional dependence on a person who is not your husband can lead to heartbreak. When a woman invests emotionally in someone who has not made a halal commitment to her, she risks not only her heart but her peace of mind. That person is not bound to her through nikah, and so there are no guarantees. He may leave, change, or disappoint. And when that happens, the emotional pain can be severe, sometimes even worse than physical pain, because she tied her happiness to someone who was never truly hers in the eyes of Allah. Islam teaches us emotional strength. It teaches us to love with limits and wisdom. It teaches us to protect our hearts until the right time and with the right person. A woman can feel love, she can hope for marriage, she can make dua for a good partner, but she must not allow her emotions to control her decisions, her behavior, or her relationship with her Lord. The moment emotions begin to dictate right and wrong, that is when one is at risk of losing sight of the truth. One of the most powerful things a woman can do is learn to surrender her heart to Allah before giving it to anyone else. When Allah is at the center of her heart, she is not destroyed by emotional loss. She knows that her purpose is not tied to any person, but to her Creator. So even if the person she loves walks away, she still has her identity, her faith, and her strength. Emotional attachment becomes balanced when it is rooted in tawakkul, trust in Allah's plan. A woman's emotional world is sacred. She must guard it, not because love is haram, but because misplaced love can lead to harm. Loving someone in silence, with dignity, with prayers, and with patience, while waiting for halal commitment, is more honorable than being in a relationship that damages her connection with Allah. Letting go of emotional attachment that leads to sin is not weakness. It is a sign of spiritual maturity. It is proof that she values her akhirah over temporary comfort. And that is the kind of strength that leads to real peace and lasting love, both in this life and the next. In Islam, love is not just an emotion to be felt and expressed freely without consequence. It is something noble and sacred when it is honored through the right channels. A woman in love may feel deeply connected to someone, hopeful about the future, and emotionally invested in that bond. But Islam draws a clear line. True love, the kind that is protected and respected, is only completed through nikah, marriage. Without nikah, the relationship remains vulnerable, undefined, and often harmful. While society today may normalize relationships outside of marriage, Islam calls us to something higher, something purer. It calls us to protect love, not by hiding it, but by dignifying it through the commitment of marriage. When a woman gives her heart to a man without marriage, she may believe that her love is enough to hold the relationship together. But without the foundation of nikah, there is no guarantee, no accountability, no structure under which love can flourish safely. The Prophet Muhammad said that when a man marries, he has completed half of his religion. That is how significant marriage is in Islam. It is not just a cultural tradition or legal contract. It is an act of worship. It transforms feelings into responsibility. It places love under the mercy and protection of Allah. Many women fall into the trap of being emotionally, mentally, and sometimes physically involved with someone who has not made any serious halal commitment. They live in uncertainty, waiting, hoping, and sacrificing, with no clarity about where the relationship is heading. This limbo creates anxiety and emotional exhaustion. She may worry every day about being replaced, being ignored, or being left behind. But Islam never asks a woman to carry this emotional burden. It gives her the right to security and clarity through marriage. It teaches her that her love is worth more than hidden messages, late-night calls, and empty promises. A woman should know that if a man truly values her, he will not delay in honoring her through nikah. He will not ask her to wait endlessly while he figures things out. He will involve her family, seek the pleasure of Allah, and take the necessary steps to make their bond halal. If he is not willing to do that, then she must understand that this is not real love, it is convenience. It is desire without responsibility. And love without responsibility is not love at all, it is selfishness dressed up as affection. Nikah brings barakah, blessings, into a relationship. It opens the door for Allah's mercy to enter their lives. The physical connection becomes an act of worship. The emotional bond becomes a means of peace, and every shared moment becomes a way to earn reward. Without marriage, those same actions become sources of sin, guilt, and spiritual heaviness. It is the same love, the same people, the same feelings, but one is under the shade of Allah's mercy, and the other is in the shadows of disobedience. A woman in love may feel pressure to be patient with a man who says he loves her but delays commitment. She may think that if she waits long enough, he will eventually marry her. But waiting in silence while the relationship continues in haram ways is not what Islam teaches. Islam gives her the right to demand clarity, not with arrogance but with dignity. She has the right to say, "If you truly love me, then marry me. If not, let me protect my heart, my faith, and my future." The wisdom of Islam in protecting love through marriage is unmatched. It preserves the emotional health of both individuals. It prevents heartbreak, confusion, and misuse. It gives women the honor they deserve. In marriage, a woman is not just someone's secret, someone's maybe, or someone's entertainment. She becomes a wife, a partner in deen, in life, and in purpose. Her rights are defined, her position is respected, and her role is valued. For any woman in love, The most important question is not just how she feels, but what Allah thinks of her situation. If the love is real, it will seek purity. It will aim for nikah. And if marriage is not possible, then the woman must have the strength to walk away, not because her love was false, but because her faith is real. A love that fears Allah is far more beautiful than a love that fears loneliness. And when a woman chooses to wait for a love that comes through the door of nikah, she chooses to protect her heart, her dignity, and her akhirah. That is not just wise, it is powerful. A woman's worth is not defined by how much attention she receives from men. In a world that constantly tries to tell women that their value lies in their appearance, their desirability, or their ability to attract someone, Islam stands as a clear and powerful voice that reminds women, your true value comes from your connection with Allah, your character, your dignity, and your taqwa. A woman who understands her worth doesn't chase love, she carries it within herself. She doesn't wait for validation from others because her worth is not dependent on being seen, chosen, or praised by people. It is anchored in being cherished by her Creator. When a woman falls in love, especially if she is not married yet, she may begin to believe that being loved or wanted by a man proves her value. This is often reinforced by society, where a woman is made to feel that being single means being incomplete, or that rejection is a reflection of failure. But in Islam, this is completely false. The most honored women in Islamic history were not honored because of how many men wanted them. Maryam was not defined by the attention of men. Khadija was not respected because of her outward appearance, but because of her character, her wisdom, and her faith. Fatima was beloved not because she was famous, but because she was sincere and spiritually strong. A woman should never allow herself to believe that she must change who she is, dress immodestly, speak flirtatiously, or compromise her values just to be noticed. That kind of attention is not love. It is temporary attraction. It fades. And often it leaves behind regret. If someone only values a woman because of her looks or charm, then their love is shallow. A woman who knows her worth will not settle for shallow love. She will not compete with others for someone's attention. She will not allow herself to be one of many options. She will be patient until Allah sends someone who sees her for her soul, not just her surface. Sometimes women stay in unhealthy or undefined relationships because they fear being alone. They think, at least someone likes me, someone is here. But this is a trap of shaitan. Loneliness is better than being in a situation where your dignity is slowly being taken away. Being single while obeying Allah is far more honorable than being taken in a relationship that leads to sin. Allah is Al-Wakil, the best disposer of affairs. When a woman relies on Him, she knows that her provision, including love, will come at the right time, in the right way. She doesn't have to beg for it, chase it, or lose herself trying to find it. A woman must also remember that her emotions are valuable. Her heart is not something to be offered to anyone who shows temporary interest. If a man truly respects her, he will not want her to be confused about her worth. He will not play games or disappear when things get serious. He will honor her through halal means, and he will recognize that she is not just a companion for this world, but a potential partner for the akhirah. That kind of love doesn't rush into romance. It builds it slowly, with respect, clarity, and commitment. A woman's value is multiplied when she understands that being loved by Allah is far greater than being liked by people. When she prays, when she protects her modesty, when she stays away from haram even if her heart desires it, she becomes beloved to the most merciful. Angels praise her, her name is remembered in the heavens, and her patience is rewarded in ways she cannot even imagine. This is not just theory, it is a promise from Allah. So to every woman who wonders, am I enough? Yes, you are. Not because someone tells you so, but because Allah created you with purpose. You were not created to be someone's entertainment. You were not created to be in a cycle of heartbreak, confusion,